Have you ever felt proud that you never miss your daily chanting, yet you feel oddly cold or indifferent when the temple needs help? Have you ever told yourself, I practice by myself, I do not owe anything to any monastery, and then wondered why your blessings feel thinner and your mind feels less bright even though you are trying so hard? Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about something that looks small on the surface, but is huge in karma, huge in merit, and huge in the long arc of your spiritual life. Because many sincere people are doing serious practice at home. They chant, they recite, they bow, they keep precepts as best they can. They watch teachings, they reflect on cause and effect, and yet, in the same heart, there is a thought that keeps quietly eroding everything they build. That thought is simple. The temple is not my business. The monastery is not my responsibility. The community of practice is optional. As long as I chant at home, I am fine. Here are the two main ideas I want to place right at the front, so you can hold them as we go through the story. First, home practice is precious, but practice is not only personal. The Dharma is not a private hobby. It is a living lineage, carried by the three jewels, carried by teachers, carried by Sangha, carried by places that preserve the teachings, protect the rituals, and offer a field where people can purify and awaken together. If you only take from that field and never protect it, your merit leaks in ways you cannot easily measure. Second, the most dangerous karmic damage often does not come from big crimes. It comes from small attitudes, from dismissiveness, from contempt, from casual words that treat the sacred as a convenience, from that one sentence you say online or to a friend. That makes the temple look useless, makes monks and nuns look suspicious, makes community feel unnecessary. That one thought can cut merit the way a hidden crack drains water from a bowl. Now let me tell you a story. It is not a story about a villain. It is a story about an ordinary, sincere person, which is exactly why it matters. There was a man I will call Ryan. Ryan was the kind of practitioner many people admire. He had a full-time job. He had family responsibilities. He had stress like everyone else. Yet he still kept his daily practice like a clock. In the morning he woke up early, washed his face, stood before a small altar in his apartment, and recited. Sometimes he recited a sutra passage. Sometimes he recited a mantra. Sometimes he repeated a Buddha name steadily, like tapping a bell inside the heart. Then he went to work. At night he came home tired, but he did not collapse immediately. He did his evening practice. He bowed. He dedicated merit. He listened to a teaching video. He felt, at least in those moments, that he was living with direction. Friends said he was diligent. He felt proud, not in a loud way, but in that quiet way people feel when they believe they are doing something rare and good. But Ryan had a habit that lived alongside his diligence. He did not like temples, not because he was against Buddhism, not because he rejected the Dharma. He just had a story in his mind. Temples are complicated. Temples ask for money. Temples have politics. Temple for someone else's business. I can practice alone. I do not need that. And to be fair, Ryan did have reasons. Years earlier he visited a temple and saw a fundraising event. He heard announcements about repairs and donations. He saw lay volunteers discussing budgets. He saw people selling items. His mind reacted. This looks like business, not spirituality. He never took time to understand. He left with a judgment, and that judgment hardened into identity. So he continued practicing at home and treated temples like a store you visit only when you want something. If he needed a ceremony, he went. If he wanted a blessing, he went. If he wanted to ask for protection during a difficult time, he went. But if the temple needed support, he vanished. In his mind, he was being smart. He thought he was avoiding being used. He thought he was protecting himself from deception. He thought he was pure because he did not get involved. But karma is subtle. Karma does not only measure what you do. Karma measures what your heart trains itself to become. And Ryan was training a heart that took without protecting the source. One weekend, a friend invited Ryan to a Dharma gathering at a local monastery. Ryan hesitated, but he agreed because the speaker was well known and he wanted to hear the talk. The monastery was older. Paint was fading. Roof tiles looked tired. The garden was not fancy, but it was peaceful. Inside, people sat quietly. When the teaching began, Ryan felt his mind settle. The teacher spoke about compassion, about wisdom, about karmic cause and effect, about how to live in the world without being swallowed by greed and anger. Ryan was moved. He thought, this is real. This is what I need. After the talk, a lay coordinator spoke briefly. The monastery needed repairs. The heater was failing. The roof leaked in heavy rain. There were elderly monastics living there. And winter was coming. The coordinator asked for support, not forcing, not pressuring, simply speaking honestly about needs. Ryan felt something tighten inside him. Here it is again. Money. He left quickly. On the way home, his friend asked what he thought. Ryan said, the teaching was good, but these places always ask for money. That is why I prefer to practice at home. His friend did not argue. He just nodded. But the karma of that sentence did not disappear. Because when you say always, you are not speaking about a situation. You are planting a conclusion. A conclusion becomes a lens. A lens shapes your future choices. That is how karma becomes destiny. Over the next month, something strange happened. Ryan kept practicing, but his mind became more restless. He would sit to recite, and thoughts would run faster. He would bow, and irritation would rise. He would try to feel devotion, and instead he would feel dry. He began to chase methods the way a thirsty person chases water. But the thirst remained. Then practical problems increased. A project collapsed unexpectedly. A colleague blamed him. His manager grew cold. A promotion he expected vanished. A family conflict erupted, and old wounds reopened. He tried to chant more to calm it, but his words felt empty. One night, after a long argument with a relative, Ryan sat before his altar and felt something break. I am practicing so hard. Why does life feel heavier? He did not say it as a complaint to the Buddha. He said it like someone honestly exhausted. The next day, by coincidence, he ran into an older practitioner he respected. This older practitioner had lived through storms and still carried a soft face. Ryan shared his frustration. The older practitioner listened and asked one question. When was the last time you supported the 3 jewels beyond your own benefit? Ryan felt defensive. I keep my vows. I do my practice. The older practitioner nodded. That is good. But you asked why your blessings feel thin. Let me ask again. When was the last time you protected the place that protects the Dharma? Ryan did not answer. So the older practitioner told him a simple image. If you drink from a well every day, but you never repair the well, never cover it, never clean around it, and you complain that the water is not as sweet, what is the real problem? Ryan understood the logic, but emotion is stubborn. He said, I do not trust temples. Too many scandals, too many requests, too much human mess. The older practitioner smiled gently. You are right that humans are messy. That is why temples exist. They are not museums of perfect people. They are hospitals for imperfect minds. If you refuse to support the hospital because patients are sick, you misunderstand the purpose. That sentence landed in Ryan, but it did not fully open him yet. The older practitioner continued. There is another principle. When you disrespect the field of merit, merit withdraws. Not because the universe is angry, but because your own heart is training itself to dismiss what is sacred. Dismissiveness is like a knife. You do not see the cut immediately, but the wound grows. Ryan was quiet. Then the older practitioner said the part most people avoid. If you want your chanting to grow into wisdom, your chanting must be connected to humility and gratitude. Otherwise, chanting becomes a private performance. A private performance can calm you temporarily, but it cannot carry you across deep karmic storms. Ryan went home and could not sleep. He kept thinking about the phrase field of merit. In Buddhist teaching, there is a concept that is both spiritual and practical. The Sangha, and the place that supports the Dharma, is often described as a field where good seeds ripen. When you offer with sincerity, you are not buying blessings, you are planting causes. When you protect the Dharma, you are protecting your own future ability to hear it, practice it, and awaken. Ryan realized he had been acting like a consumer. He consumed teachings, he consumed rituals, he consumed comfort, but he did not cultivate the root. So he decided to test it, not to prove anything, but to correct his heart. The next weekend, he went back to the monastery, not for a lecture, but to volunteer. He thought he would stay 1 hour and then leave. When he arrived, a lay volunteer handed him gloves and asked if he could help clean a storage room. The work was simple. Dusty boxes, old cushions, a smell of age. It was not spiritual in a glamorous way. At first, Ryan felt annoyed. I could be chanting at home. This is a waste. Then he caught his own thought. He remembered the older practitioner. He took a breath and kept cleaning. As he cleaned, he noticed something he had not noticed before. The monastery was not rich. It was not trying to impress anyone. It was simply surviving so it could continue offering a place for people to practice, gather, repent, learn, and transform. He saw an elderly nun walking slowly, carrying a kettle. He saw a young monastic helping an older layperson find a seat. He saw volunteers preparing simple food. He saw the quiet order that makes a place feel safe. And he realized something embarrassing. He had been judging from distance. He had not been seeing reality. He had been using suspicion as an excuse to avoid responsibility. After cleaning, a monastic thanked him. The gratitude was simple, not dramatic, but Ryan felt something soften inside him. That night, when he returned home and sat before his altar, his chanting felt different. Not louder, not more magical, just more alive. He felt warmth rise in the chest. He felt devotion that did not feel like begging for favors. He felt connected. This is the part many people do not understand. When you support the 3 jewels, the mind becomes less lonely. The practice becomes less self-centered. The heart stops circling around its own problems. And when the heart stops circling, wisdom has space to appear. Ryan kept volunteering. Sometimes he helped clean. Sometimes he helped set up chairs. Sometimes he offered a small donation, within his capacity, without resentment. Sometimes he simply showed up and treated the monastery like family. And slowly, his life began to shift. It did not become perfect. That is not the point. But the texture changed. His mind became steadier. His temper softened. He found it easier to apologize. He became less obsessed with being right. He became more willing to be kind first. At work, something unexpected happened. The colleague who blamed him began to ease up. A new project came, and Ryan was assigned a role that matched his strengths. A mentor appeared, someone who trusted him and offered guidance. Was it magic? No. Was it karma? Yes. Because karma is not only about money and success. Karma is about conditions. When you plant causes that support the Dharma, you create conditions that support your awakening. Those conditions often also stabilize your worldly life, because a stable mind makes better choices, speaks with less poison, and builds better relationships. Now let me bring this teaching into your daily reality, because some of you are listening and thinking, I get it, but I still have doubts. Let us be honest. Temples are run by humans. Humans have flaws. Sometimes there are real problems. Sometimes there are misunderstandings. Sometimes money is discussed too much, or in the wrong way. All of that can be true. But here is the key point. Do not let valid caution become contempt. Do not let discernment become cynicism. Do not let intelligence become coldness. In Buddhist cultivation, the attitude of the heart is everything. You can be careful without being dismissive. You can ask questions without spreading suspicion. You can choose where to support without deciding all temples are bad. You can protect yourself without cutting off gratitude. When people say, "I practice at home, so I do not need a monastery," what they often mean emotionally is, "I do not want to be disappointed by humans again." That fear is understandable. But if you let fear become isolation, you lose something precious. The Dharma is not only inside you. It is also carried through relationship, community, and lineage. Even the strongest home practitioner benefits from a place where the teachings are preserved, where ceremonies are held, where precepts are transmitted, where people gather to repent and reset their minds. And there is another karmic detail that is extremely important today: the karma of speech. In modern life, you can harm a temple without ever stepping inside it. You can harm it through a comment, through a post, through a casual remark you throw like trash into the public space. You might think it is nothing. You might think it is just an opinion. But speech is karma. Speech shapes other minds. When you speak with contempt about the three jewels, you are not only creating karma for yourself, you are influencing others to disrespect what is sacred. That is heavy. And here is the most painful part. Many people damage their own wisdom life, not by evil actions, but by casually cutting off their future connection to Dharma. They say, all monks are fake. They say, all temples are greedy. They say, I do not need any of that. Then later, when life collapses, when grief arrives, when death touches the family, when the heart breaks, they suddenly want refuge, suddenly want guidance, suddenly want the medicine. But the mind they trained has already built a wall. This is why the teaching is urgent. Do not build walls against your own future salvation. Now let me offer a deeper frame. Because this is not only about temples. It is about how awakening works. Awakening is not a private trophy. Awakening is the flowering of wisdom and compassion. Compassion naturally wants to support what benefits beings. A monastery is not only a building. It is a living vehicle that helps countless people touch the Dharma, even if only once in their life. When you support that vehicle, you are practicing compassion. You are saying, may others have access to the teachings. May others have a refuge. May others have a place to repent, to learn, to calm down, to meet good spiritual friends. This is Bodhisattva mind in ordinary form. And when Bodhisattva mind grows, blessings grow. Not as payment, but as natural resonance. Now I want to speak to the person who says, but I am broke. I cannot donate. Supporting does not only mean money. Money is only one form. Many temples need time, skills, and simple labor more than they need large donation. Some need volunteers to clean. Some need help translating. Some need help driving elders. Some need help organizing events. Some need someone to simply show up and create warmth. Even if you can do nothing publicly, you can still support with attitude. You can stop speaking contempt. You can stop spreading rumors. You can stop making jokes that poison faith. You can educate merit sincerely for the Sambhava and for the continuity of the Dharma. That inner support is real. Because the heart that respects the three jewels becomes a heart that is teachable. A teachable heart can awaken. Now let me return to Ryan for the part of the story that reveals the sharp edge of cause and effect. One day, a conflict happened at the monastery. A volunteer complained about finances. Someone miscommunicated. Voices rose. Ryan felt the old suspicion rise in him. See, humans. Mess. He almost walked away permanently. But then he remembered something that changed his life. Practice is not about finding a perfect place. Practice is about training a perfect intention in an imperfect world. So he did something different. He did not gossip. He did not fuel drama. He did not pick a side to feel superior. He asked quietly how he could help. He offered to do simple tasks. He encouraged calm speech. And that moment was a turning point. Because supporting the Dharma does not mean you pretend problems do not exist. It means you respond with wisdom. You respond with compassion. You respond with patience. You do not add poison. This is how merit becomes stable. If you only support when everything is clean, you are still supporting your comfort, not the Dharma. The Dharma exists to transform suffering and ego. If you cannot stay steady when small human mess appears, then your practice is still fragile. Ryan began to understand that the monastery was a mirror. It showed him his own impatience, his own pride, his own tendency to judge. And every time he chose humility instead, his mind became clearer. This is how wisdom life grows, not only through recitation, but through the way you meet real life without losing your vow. Now I want to share a reflection that might hit you, because many viewers have said similar things to me. They say, I chant every day, but my luck is stuck. They say, I practice, but my mind is still dark sometimes. They say, I try to be good, but I still feel blocked. Sometimes, the missing piece is not more chanting. It is a correction of attitude. If your heart is dismissive toward the three jewels, your practice becomes isolated. Isolation can become pride. Pride can become a barrier. And that barrier can quietly reduce the blessings that support your path. In traditional language, this is called damaging the seed of awakening. It is not a curse. It is a natural consequence. If you cut your own connection to the Dharma, how will the Dharma keep nourishing you? Now let us end with something practical and honest, because I want you to actually use this. Tonight, after your chanting, before you sleep, try this dedication, not as magic words, but as a direction of heart. May the teachings remain in the world. May the Sangha be healthy and protected. May places of practice have the conditions to continue. May I be someone who supports the Dharma, not only consumes it. May my practice grow into compassion and wisdom that benefit others. Then, within the next week, do one small act that supports the Dharma in real life. It can be visiting a monastery respectfully. It can be offering a small amount without resentment. It can be volunteering 1 hour. It can be cleaning after an event. It can be simply refusing to spread contempt. One small act can repair a leak in your merit. Now I want to close with my own commentary, because I have seen this pattern too many times. Some people chant beautifully at home, but the moment they hear about temple needs, their heart closes. They treat it like an annoyance. They treat it like someone asking for favors. They forget that their own practice exists because generations protected the Dharma, protected texts, protected rituals, protected communities. If those people had said, "Not my problem," you would not even have the words to chant today. So supporting the temple is not paying a fee. It is repaying a debt of gratitude. It is protecting your own future. It is strengthening your bodhisattva path. And there is a quiet joy that comes when you stop practicing only for yourself. When you support the Dharma, you feel connected to something larger than your anxiety. You feel your life has meaning beyond your personal problems. That meaning becomes strength. That strength becomes stability. That stability becomes blessings. Now it is your turn. In the comments, tell me what your relationship with temples and community has been like. Have you ever felt suspicious, distant, or indifferent, even while you practiced hard at home? What is the biggest inner obstacle for you? Fear, disappointment, or something else? And have you ever experienced a moment where one careless comment or one careless judgment later came back as regret? Share your story. I read them. And your story might help someone else correct their path before they lose something precious. If you want more long-form teachings like this, subscribe to the channel. like the video, and leave a comment so I know you are here. If you want to support the channel more deeply, consider becoming a member so I can keep making longer content that walks with you through awakening, wisdom, karma, cultivation, and destiny. Thank you for listening. Keep chanting. Keep your heart humble. Protect the Dharma that protects you. And I will see you in the next one.
Every person carries a certain energy. Your focus, your dreams, your purpose. Bracelet is a physical reminder of that energy. Symbol you wear daily. That pushes you to stay grounded, balanced, and aligned. If one of the bracelets caught your eye, you can order it through the link in the description. And check more powerful styles on our homepage store. Choose the one that strengthens your journey.